Okay, hello. I have a funny story to start off with. Actually, it probably won't be that funny to you, and actually it's not even funny to me. It's very sad. So trying to keep the kids entertained this summer. So yesterday we went to the fabric store to buy fabric to make a quilt. And we were in line to purchase our fabric that the girls had picked out. And this lady behind me, who is a senior citizen, was like, hey, are you guys learning how to sew? And I was like, oh, my daughters are trying to, get into it. And she's like, oh, that's so great. She's like, well, I teach at a senior living center and you could bring your daughter and just pay $2. Are you 60? To me, she asked me that. And I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh, me? Am I 60? No, I'm not 60. She's like, oh, okay. Cause if you were 60, you could bring her in for just $2. And I'm going like, what? Like, do I look like I'm 60? So now I have this total complex, and I'm not sharing the story so that you can comment that I don't look 60. But I texted my husband after. I'm like, I look much older than I actually am. This is very sad. Usually if you ask someone that, you're like 10 years off, but like almost 20 years off is a little out there. And then too, when you ask that and someone's like, oh no, I'm not. Usually you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. No, and you try to at least cover kind of. She's just like, oh, you're not? Yeah. So that was how I started my day yesterday. And I actually felt like I was starting my day off feeling pretty positive about things. And so basically my point is just you'll always have insecurities, right? Like when you have an eating disorder, you've got lots of insecurities about your body, especially as you're gaining weight. And then then you'll get through that, and then you'll have insecurities about, I don't know, how old you look. And then maybe you'll have insecurities. And the reason probably that hit yesterday so much was because I kind of feel like I've been dressing like an old lady. Like I went shopping with my sisters, last week. And I've noticed they're around my age. And I was like, why am I picking out such old lady clothes? I feel like I'm my mom. And then I thought maybe because I'm entering that stage in my life where clothes I used to wear just are not looking the same. I just starting to like older lady clothes. So those of you who are listening who are older ladies, it's okay. If you're in fact older, to me, older is I don't know, now that I'm in my 40s, I think older is 70 plus. But yeah, it's funny how age changes as you get older. When you're 10 or 15, you think 40 is near death. And then when you're 40, you're I don't know, 70 is still kind of, right? 80 is probably really old. So it's funny how it changes. Anyways, that's my not so funny story. The topic today that I want to talk about is, let's see, what was it? Oh yeah. You don't have to actually not like being thin or not like the feeling of restricting or not like the control that you might feel when you have your eating disorder. There's no requirement to stop liking those things in order to recover. An example of this would be myself in recovery. When I was in recovery, I still very much really liked the way my body looked before I started recovery. I very much liked the feeling I got when I would say no to things. I very much got pleasure out of feeling like I could do things that people around me couldn't do. I couldn't say no to these things, or I could exercise with no, it wasn't even a battle at all if I was going to do it. It's I always did it, and I could always push harder than anyone else. And I liked that feeling, right? And I went into recovery still liking all of those things. And sometimes I think there's this illusion that you have to hate everything about your eating disorder before you can start. And you have to just feel so fed up with it and so done. It's actually sometimes you will, and oftentimes need to enter recovery while you're still quite enjoying a lot of the things that the eating disorder is giving you. As I went through recovery and I was gaining the weight, I still really liked the feeling I had before recovery when I was in, and I would relish it and I would think about it, and I really liked feeling like I, was in control, and I really liked eating healthy, and I liked all these things. And so when you're in recovery and you start feeling oh, this is really uncomfortable, and you kind of think I really liked what it was before, I really liked And it's kind of this like almost poor me thing. It's like you become this victim and it's like, well, I deserve to feel good. I deserve to do things that make me feel good. I deserve to be able to exercise like other people exercise because that's something that really works for me. I really like it. And I deserve to be in, you know, a smaller size body because I can. And it's like, but you're forgetting all of those things that you thought you liked and perhaps even actually yes, do like are taking away from you. Right? And so even as I got pretty dang close to full recovery, and maybe even once I would be considered fully recovered, I would still sort of, for like a small moment, have this kind of like, oh, I really loved that feeling. Oh, I really liked fitting into smaller clothes. Oh, I really liked people commenting on how small I was. But had enough kind of like experience behind me through recovery to be like, absolutely not, no. Right? Absolutely not. No. But I think people get scared as they go through recovery and they have those feelings. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm relapsing. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You know, and they freak out and they're like, I'm never going to be able to stick with this. Yeah. What you do is you just accept that you might like those feelings. You might. Like I have memories. I don't forget what it felt like to be sick. There were a lot of things about being sick that I liked. I can admit that for sure. There were a lot of things about being sick that I liked, but I've been not sick for long enough that I would never go back and try to get those feelings back because of what they stole from me in every other area of my life. And so I guess this is a video that I have not, in fact, talked about. And when I think of something that I have not discussed before, I get like, okay, I'm making a video about this. And so if that's you listening and you're like, you know what, I am doing pretty good in recovery and I still do sort of sometimes just really like kind of what the eating disorder, how it made me feel sometimes. And I really liked feeling in control of eating super healthy. And I really liked all the things that your eating disorder brought you that were that positive reward system that you had kind of created in the midst of having your eating disorder. But what I can say with time is, like I said, it just becomes sort of a distant memory. It's not something that I would ever want to go back to experience maybe the short fleeting pleasure that I had of being in a smaller body. And so stick with it. I guess my point is like when you're feeling vulnerable in your recovery and you're kind of thinking about how nice it was like that, well, too bad. It's affecting people around you in a negative way, right? Like too bad you don't get to experience that. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but it's true, right? Too bad. You were deceiving and lying to people to protect it. You were missing out on great opportunities in life, right? You were not having experiences that other people were having because you were liking the feeling of being in a smaller body too much. So it's just not worth it. So that's my message to you today. Accept that might be something that you feel like there's a real pull to, and it is not by any means an excuse or an out for you to give up on recovery. Nope. Nope. You can't do it. You have to keep going through recovery, staying committed to the things that you know are going to get you there, and focus on the things that you'll gain from your life if you can no longer have your eating disorder, because those short little fleeting pleasures are not worth it. And don't let your eating disorder convince you otherwise when you're feeling vulnerable. All right. Have a good day.